Fortunately, self-doubt is not the worst thing you will feel or experience in this life. However, it sure can be one hell of a letdown. Never doubt yourself because you are unintentionally admitting defeat before you even start. You also hold back the full pleasures that life has to offer. The only way one shall succeed is if they try. Self-doubt makes it that much harder to win because you have already lost half the battle. By admitting self-defeat, our 7 tactics will help you unleash your true potential. It is one thing to doubt others, but yourself, never doubt yourself. Number 1, lack of experience and knowledge. All great figures were once fragile, hollow, and thoughtless beings. It is said that the more one knows, the more he is worth. In today's time, such is indeed the case. For you see, men do not really fear death, but the uncertainty it may bring. You doubt yourself simply because you lack the knowledge to understand your situation. What it is that you doubt, whatever that may be, there could be a chance that you do not fully comprehend all its nature, quite possibly. Self-doubt can be cured with action. Action alone may not be the antidote that one seeks. However, action is the most powerful form of notion. It is in men's will to live a life with comfort and ease. If so, then what does the future hold for such men? The answer is uncertainty. Men who never seek knowledge, venture the unknown, or attempt the impossible will be just that, a comfortable, simple being with the worth of half a grain of salt. Like most men said before our time, the remedy for self-doubt is to do. One must attempt and try new things if one is willing to be great. Do not be afraid of what lies ahead, instead be afraid of living in the shadows for all your eternity. Number 2, you don't know what you are capable of. Squats, one of the most loathed forms of exercise, yet one of the greatest for building muscles. How often do you see gym goers attempt to squat until they fail? When I say fail, I mean not being able to fully stand, so the weight pushes them down. That is what I try to attempt. My fellow peers are breezing through 20 reps like they're about to hit the gym in a few minutes, while I'm pushing 2 or 3 reps until I pass out. I intentionally force myself beyond my natural limitations because of Newton's third law. Come on, you ought to know it. If you plan on going to the gym to get in tone and sweat only a little bit, then that is what you will be, a little bit. But if you are at the gym or wherever, giving it all until your body begs for self-mercy, then be prepared to be amazed and reach new heights that have been dormant inside of you. You doubt yourself before you even try. Why? Are you not great? Have you already accepted that you are a fragile, weak, pathetic being? If so, then that is exactly what you are. When you give into self-doubt, self-negativity, and self-loathing fear, then achieving the impossible really is impossible. Exactly 2 months ago, I could barely max bench press 125 pounds. Now I can max bench press about 180 pounds because not only did I try, but I gave it my everything, every time. I never had self-doubt, not even once. And this was achievable in just 2 months. How is it that not long ago, we humans were still cooking our meals with fire? Now we can do it with the press of a button or a switch. It is because we keep learning, keep moving forward, and strive for a better tomorrow and even better future. We humans are still in the dark ages, believe it or not. If we compare our technologies and advancements to other advanced species, if you believe in them, then you will come to realize that we haven't even begun. No one knows what they are capable of until they try. Who knows, you may even find your hidden talent of building massive skills over time. As they always say, you never know until you try. Humans bear no quantified limits. That is what it means to be human. How far are you willing to push yourself? Even death is an obstacle that can be overcome because some of us have known death and lived again to tell the tale. Number 3, your surrounding and how you grew up shaped you. Possibly one of, if not the biggest contributing factors to who you are as a whole. My family grew up and lived in a secure environment. We believed in God, Jesus, minded our own business, and did our time like the rest of our neighbors. As you can see, we were average, just like our neighbors and the rest of the planet. No one in our family was great. In fact, no one in my entire county was even great. We all want normal lives and to exist peacefully until death comes for us. Suddenly, out of nowhere, an enormous responsibility or feat stands in your way. What do you do now? You weren't made for this. How can you overcome such adversities? You can't, because you were raised in a peaceful, simple way. Kids who grew up in a violent area will most likely believe that violence is a way of life. On the other hand, kids who grew up in church believing in Jesus will most likely grow up to be a Christian. Our surroundings shape us, and I believe your own experience will prove me right. You believe in what you believe because you were forged, molded in that environment. Letting go of your past may be the most challenging thing you ever do. However, it may be the only thing that sets you free. Did your parents or school teach you how you can be anything you set your mind to? Or did they teach you, along with millions of other youngsters, to be a mindless walking zombie, to be average, pay your taxes, raise a family, and die painlessly as possible? That is why you will ponder on how meaningless your life is and why you always be average. You grew up without such knowledge, as well as I. My parents never taught me about how I could achieve anything I wanted to. They raised me to have faith in Jesus, go to college, get married, and live out my life like anyone else. However, as the years passed, so did my environment. Pain, betrayal, and the sins of others made me who I am today. Am I a wicked being? No, on the contrary, far from it. I've come to use those feelings to my advantage. I've been alone and hurt for too long. So what did I decide to do? Be different. What once shaped and created me was now being created and molded by me. My surrounding will never shape who I am again. However, I will shape my environment and myself as I deem worthy. That was the only way for me to set myself apart from everyone else. Let me emphasize on this again. Letting go of your past and childhood may be the only thing that sets you free. It is natural for humans to hold on to things that they have become attached to. If your environment is holding you from unleashing your maximum unknown potential, then it's time to let go of such omens. Number 4, feeling of insecurity and the need for guidance. What is your weakest yet the greatest life in this known world? Humans. Is it not in the will and DNA of life to reproduce? And how can such a thing be possible? By force or through companionship or asexual? Humanity is no exception. We yearn for security, warmth, peace, and all the comforts that we can hold on until the last breath departs us. No child can mature into a great man unless that child has been taught by the greatest. Men are governed by direction and guidance, but which way will he go? If you set up 2 paths, one which is lonely, filled with suffering, yet the outcome will be glorious, or one which is filled with simplicity, warmth, yet bears no worth, which direction will most men deliberately walk on? The path that brings the least or no suffering, of course. So why does religion exist? Why are governments so powerful? Why does the media influence our actions and thoughts? Because they are simple to follow. They dictate how we must or should live our lives. We don't have to think or put in any effort. It is there, so it must be good, right? What once served man has now become its master. A man who finds himself will have lived to the fullest, while a man who lives by the words of others will never know himself. To learn and have guidance from others is wise and much needed in order to mature oneself. But when we solely rely on others, it becomes a burden to ourselves, a marvelous disguise in the form of idiocy. The 3 most essential needs for mankind is food, water, and shelter in their respective order. But once shelter becomes comfort, pleasure, and natural, then it has lost its meanings. Shelter was meant to be a way for survival, not a way of comfort. But in today's time, words either lose their meaning or have been altered to man's liking. You ask life to take you wherever it pleases. You believe that the words of others have influence and power over you. When days become years and years become a lifetime, then habitually it becomes permanent. So instead of carving your own destiny, you feel it is right and natural to do the will of others. As long as it brings contentment and security, then most men will follow this path. I am not saying that men are weak, for I too am a man, but men despise the thought of being seen as cowards, fragile, helpless, and all that is ego-destroying. That being said, most will hide behind anything in order to be perceived as something they are not. Is this not the greatest manifestation of self-doubt? If not, then what is? Number 5, wanting to take the easy way out. You have no options. Your path has already been foretold, and you cannot alter such things no matter how hard you try. Men who believe in such things shall surely get what they believe. You don't know what you want to do in this life. You feel unworthy for greatness and that what is hard can only be achieved by strength and sheer luck. No, you choose the path of least suffering because you want an easy life. You have one life, may as well make it to the most comfortable one, right? Blessed are the ignorant, for they live the greatest lie. Life is hard, get used to that. Don't we all start as oblivious, self-doubting beings? Just because it is hard doesn't mean it is bad. In fact, those who endure the most pain are often the ones that get what they want in this life. Dogs, cats, and most animals prefer to eat, sleep, and that's it. Are we animals? Yes, but are we dogs? Do you want to live your life imitating a dog? If so, then you can. Or do you want to live your life as a legend? To dogs, aren't we gods? Our lifespan is 7 to 15 times longer than them. We feed, care, and provide shelter for them. We protect and give meaning to their lives. Are we not seen as demigods or even an almighty figure to them? There is only one person in this entire universe that has the power and will to dictate and control your life. You know that person. The easy way is often the boring way. The hard way will be filled with adventures and glory. Don't be blinded by your sight, for men take such gifts for granted. There's a whole uncharted world out there. How about the universe? You believe only that of what you see and know in this small world. Thus, you surrender into the necessities that it provides. Your self-doubt and belief for greatness has been closed due to this notion. If it weren't for the suffering and tribulation of men, then everything that you see today would not have been possible. The easy way sure does bring comfort and a life of unworthiness and senseless. What the heck? At least it's not as bad as someone in Africa or prison. Sure, if that is what you are worth, then so be it. How can one possibly know what they truly long for if they don't dare to explore? You cannot know unless you go beyond the unknown. There may lie misery and death, but also truth and glory. Are you willing to take such risks because the best things in life require the ultimate sacrifice? If not, then continue to exist in your own self-created, self-doubting bubble. Number 6, you fear rejection, defeat, and pain. Life isn't about how hard or how many times you fall. It's about whether you can keep going up or not. For men to rise, we first must learn to fall. Rejection is good. Defeat is good. That means we lack some skill or principle. These things are our mentor. They teach us what we lack and what needs to be improved upon. They are not a reminder of humiliation or to ridicule us. Sometimes good things can disguise themselves as bad. Defeat and rejection are prime examples. Take college for instance. You get an F on an exam. The professor marks all your errors and points out your mistakes. Is this not a good thing, or do you prefer to get an A through cheating and scamming? One rejection or defeat is all it takes to end your achievements, for some. But for others, they will rise and rise until they have reached the very top. It is so very natural for humans to want acceptance and approval. You heard it from the writer himself, me. I once possessed such thoughts, helping others, wanting to be the center of attention, caring about what others think, and trying to please even those who I didn't know the names of. How does this help you individually? It doesn't. Instead of trying to please others and sacrificing your own value and resources for them, why not do it for yourself? Not everyone can change history, yet everyone can change themselves. If you want to be the greatest, then embrace rejection and defeat. To reach perfection, an achievement that may actually be considered impossible. Yet how many defeats and fails does it take to add to the sum of perfection? 1, 2, or maybe billions upon billions. If you let rejection and the such hinder your progression, then you'll never reach perfection. Let's take the story of Jesus for a moment. Was he not rejected by the head church? Did he not endure the utmost suffering? Still, he was never defeated. You seek change and meaning to your life. However, you aren't willing to pay the price for such luxuries. And this is why most men will never be able to unlock the doors to greatness, even with the key in their possession. All men want glory, but few are willing to die for it. If you want to make a difference in this life, then do it for yourself. When you stop focusing and caring about the lives of others, then the fear of rejection, defeat, and even pain will be a thing of the past. Only one person cares about your life more than anyone else, and that's you. Rejection, defeat, and suffering will become numb once you've experienced it long enough. Whatever life decides to throw at you, use them to your advantage to improve upon your weaknesses. If you let such things bring you down, then you will never rise. A man who has risen to the top will taste more defeat and rejection than a man who is comfortably sitting at the bottom. Number 7, low confidence and self-esteem. Naturally, low confidence and self-esteem come with self-doubt even if you didn't ask for it. A triple dose of WTF. Have you figured out the picture here? One negative thing leads to another and another until this toxic energy has completely consumed you. The only way, and I really do mean the only way, to overcome low confidence or self-esteem is through trial and error. You must force yourself to get out there and do. There is no other alternatives. Seeking advice from friends, families, internet mentors, and so forth can give you some reassurance, but ultimately, its effects dwarf in comparison to execution. How does one get better or perfect a skill? Through repeated action, day in and day out for years to come. You doubt yourself because you never apply. You watch all these TV shows and fantasies movies that entertain and open your mind, yet that is all they will ever do. A man who can run a mile in 4 minutes is a man who applies what he believes through action and action only. There is no greater proof than execution. Words and thoughts have only so much power, yet when one applies action, it becomes twofold, even a millionfold stronger. Honestly, low confidence and self-esteem are quite prevalent in today's time. Throughout my years as a weak and inexperienced man, I've come to learn that no matter how many times you tell yourself something, it will eventually subside or you will apply the words that you speak. For example, if you say that you will go to the gym, then eventually two things are bound to happen. One, you will go to the gym. Two, you won't, and you'll stop saying you will go to the gym in due time. Does this sound familiar? You lack confidence and self-esteem because you purposely put yourself in that situation. No one woke up one morning and decided to steal your confidence or esteem away. Fear is natural, but what separates courageous men from ordinary men is that they don't let fear, no, they don't let anything stand in the way of achieving whatever it is that they so desire. If you are not conquering your fears rising from the depths of Hades and moving mountains, then it means you really don't want it that bad. All you do is talk and dream about, and that is all you will ever do. Thank you again for stopping by, and I really hope you enjoyed this message.